You're listening to Online Pet Health Podcasts with Dr. Megan Kelly. Continuing education for veterinarian rehabilitation therapists. Learn more at onlinepethealth.com.
Hey Vet Rehabbers, today I'm chatting with Carly Edwards. Now Carly is based in the UK and she helps pet business owners to market and promote their practices or businesses. So today we're going to be chatting about Pinterest. Now this is a marketing platform that's been around for quite a while, and I actually thought of it as a social media platform, but Carly corrects me and says that it isn't because we don't have any social interaction or engagement on it. So it's more a marketing platform, but it's been around for a while and has probably in the last year to two made a resurgence, and there are lots of people that have been using it in their businesses, and especially pet businesses, to help to market their practices, and it's really been a successful part of their marketing strategies. Now, Carly discusses the pros and cons for using Pinterest for brick and mortar vet rehab practices, but mainly actually how we can use these to sell online courses, ebooks, and if we're doing things like online consultations. Now, for those of you that are interested in learning more and finding other ways to market your vet rehab practice, we have a really awesome PDF download. It's called 12 Free Ways to Market Your Vet Rehab Practice. You can get it at www.onlinepethealth.com/free. You can get access to this PDF download as well as loads of other business training and webinars in the field of vet rehab. Now, when you go onto that page, you can choose which niche you are in. So either hydrotherapy, small animal and equine. There might be a webinar that's seen there. Just click on the link, sign up and go into the business section, and you'll be able to download the 12 free ways to market your vet rehab practice. So that's www.onlinepethealth.com/free. Over to my chat with Carly. Hey Carly, thanks so much for joining me.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, so for those of you that are in the group, you would have seen previous Facebook Live that I did with Carly. It's so interesting. We're talking about social media. And this is something which is one of Carly's strengths. So today we're going to be talking about Pinterest. Do you say Pinterest or Pinterest? How do you say it?
Yeah, it's lots of people add that extra kind of I, but it's actually just Pinterest.
Pinterest, yes. Yeah. And this is actually one of the platforms that has been around for quite a while. And I think it sort of took off and then it slowed down and then it had another sort of resurgence. I think people have been finding that it's really useful for their marketing. And I think especially when people started to see the tapering off on Facebook, when Facebook wasn't working so well anymore, you weren't getting that reach that you wanted. And then Pinterest had this sort of resurgence. Carly, just to start off with, let's just break down exactly what Pinterest is. So for those of you that, I've got a Pinterest account, but I'm not really very active on it. And I'd love to know from those of you that are live, do you guys go onto Pinterest? Is this a social media platform that you guys are using? But let's break it down exactly what it is and how it compares to Facebook and Instagram and now all the others. I mean, we've got so many now.
Yeah. So Pinterest isn't really a social media platform at all. So it's not primarily focused on engagement and growing that community. So it does have things like buttons and a comment section on there and everything, but it's not used primarily for that. So the idea is to essentially get people to click on your pins and then head over to your website. So it's always about taking them off Pinterest to go and check out whatever it is that you're directing them to. And usually that's something like a valuable piece of content, like a blog post. It could be a video as well on your website, or it could be directly to a services page, a product page or something like that. So there's two kind of different pins really that you post there, which is blog posts and promotional pins where you're sending them directly to something to buy. And that's the great thing about Pinterest as well, is people on Pinterest are far more primed to actually buy than they are on Facebook or Instagram or anywhere like that, because they actively go there to search for brands that they can connect with, the products that they can buy, and information so they can learn more about a particular topic. So yeah, it essentially works like a visual search engine. So if you think about how Google works and how we use Google, we go up to Google, we type in the search bar, whatever it is that we're searching for, and then Google churns out the most relevant search results relating to that search query, right? So that's kind of how Pinterest works, but it does it in a more visual way. So you go to Pinterest, you type in something into the search bar, and then Pinterest is going to churn out the most relevant results and show you lots and lots of different pins in those visual pins. And then you're going to click on that and head over to that website and learn more about whatever it is that you want to learn more about. So as business owners, we can use this in a really strategic way by making sure that we include relevant keywords in all of our pins, in our profile, and in the boards that we create for Pinterest as well. So it's all about helping us get found as easy as possible with people that are searching on Pinterest, the same as how they use it for Google. So it is very different to how we kind of understand Facebook and Instagram, because it's all about engaging. It's all about, commenting on people's posts, liking other people's posts, creating that sense of community. And that's how we use those different platforms. But Pinterest, yeah, it's just very different. It's all about getting those clicks through to your website. Yeah.
So we've got a great comment here. So Pinterest is basically used for driving traffic and sales.
Yeah.
Saying,
exactly.
I don't know who it is, but yeah. So, I mean, in your experience, obviously you working now with lots of people that have pet businesses. In your experience, is this Pinterest a place where pet owners are going and searching for solutions?
It absolutely is. And it's quite interesting, actually, because this started from my dog blog. So I've created a dog blog, which is completely separate to my kind of content marketing online coaching business. But I started using it with that and just got really quick, incredible results. And I was just like, oh my God, this is the place to be to drive traffic to my blog. But then even though that is just a blog and I monetize it in different ways, obviously it can be used, exactly the same way really for other pet businesses. So it's quite interesting really, because Pinterest has proven that you can drive heaps and heaps of traffic to your website for free without having to use things like ads and bring, ads into it and spend all of your budget on ads. So yeah, it's quite an incredible platform when you get into it and realize how easy it can be to actually just kind of churn out these different pins and be really active on there and get really great results with it. It can become like your favorite platform for sure to use and get incredible results from.
So yeah, I mean it's completely different to like Instagram and Facebook in that, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you post something, it's there all the time. With Facebook, you post something and then everyone else's posts come up, and then what you posted on last Thursday, nobody's seeing anymore. Whereas that's not the case with Pinterest, right?
Yeah. So with Facebook and Instagram, the lifespan of a post is about 3 to 6 hours, which is a really, really short window. It's ridiculous. With Pinterest, you can post a pin and that one pin can get clicks, drive traffic to your website, bring in sales for months and years to come. Like some of the pins that I've created for my dog blog are still driving thousands of people to my website every single month that I created, 2 years ago. Because it looks like a search engine. And when people start repinning as well and resharing your content, that's when it gets kind of spread out further and further because other people see it. And then they repin it from their accounts and their boards, other group boards and things like that. So it really does it can take off quite quickly from just one pin, and it just sticks around. It just sticks around for years.
So, I mean, I look at the vet rehabbers now that we have in the group. And so there are a lot of them that have their own businesses, so their own practices. Some of them have their own practices as well as doing additional things. And especially since COVID, it's really spurred on people to do online courses and workshops, and they're trying to find other ways to generate income. So, I mean, if we look at the average vet rehabber, how would Pinterest benefit them in their practice? So, I mean, because if I think about it, if somebody comes on, let's say they live 3 hours away and they're searching, they find you, they're not really going to be able to come to you, are they?
Yeah, so Pinterest isn't great for, if you want to bring in people in person. If you want to attract people very locally, it just doesn't work. So this is basically for you if you have branched out to offering services online. So say that you're now working with pet owners kind of one-to-one or in a group setting through something like Zoom, and you're working remotely with them. Maybe you have something like an online course that they can just go and buy, and it's quite like a passive, product that you have going on. Or something like workshops, if you do live workshops with people, like group workshops. Those kind of things. And obviously if you actually sell pet products as well, it's great for that. So ideally it's essentially for you if you have an online offer, because you just can't really target people locally on there. It just doesn't work as well. I've tried it. I just didn't get the results that I wanted, because it works like a search engine. And obviously Pinterest is pretty big. There's lots and lots of users on there, but it's no Google search engine. It's not that big. So you're not necessarily going to have the people like in your area on there. So it's going to be a bit difficult. But if you don't mind where in the world that you work with people, and you can just sell your course to, you're based in the UK and you're selling your course to someone in South Africa, then that's totally fine. Or you're working with someone, via Zoom from across the world, then that's absolutely fine too. It works really, really well for that.
Yeah. And I mean, another thing I'm thinking about is like ebooks. I think there are a lot of vet rehabbers that have written some short books, and which they may be selling for £90 or $19 or whatever. You can sell that on there, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good one, actually. And any kind of lead magnets that you have as well. So if you want to grow your email list, and you have, a great piece of content that you're offering in exchange for someone's email address, and getting people onto your list, it's a really good thing to do for that, because you can just push out lots of different designs, templates for, maybe one single lead magnet, and start pulling people in that way and getting lots of traffic to that landing page for your lead magnet. So all of these things are great and work really, really well.
And Carly, chatting about advertising on Instagram and Facebook, is that something you can do in Pinterest? I mean, can you have an advert?
You can, yeah, you absolutely can. I haven't actually done that personally. I normally work, content marketing, so organic, doing it in an organic way with search results and things. So you can absolutely do that on Pinterest. But even just, doing it organically, you can get amazing results with it, on par with the stuff that you'd be getting, the results that you'd be getting on Facebook with Facebook ads. So it really is a powerful platform when you have that strategy behind you. But it's really important that you do have that strategy behind you, because you can waste a lot of time on there.
Yeah, we're going to dive into the strategy just now. But what I really like about it is, I think about our limited time. And, like when you said, I mean, I never thought it was 3 to 6 hours. I thought it was maybe more than that, like maybe a day. But it's hectic. If you think about the effort that goes into creating a social media post, the effort that you put into this now is there all the time, right? So it just sort of seems like, right now, especially with the reach in Facebook decreasing so hectically. I mean, I don't know what it's like for you, but I even know for our social media platforms, it's so up and down. Something you do something and you don't never know what it is with Facebook, and suddenly you see a massive decrease in your reach, and then you do something good and then the reach goes up. But it's so up and down. And Facebook is something, obviously that is so difficult for us to control. It's so difficult to control who our posts get in front of. And you never know when it's going to go into like a viral post that it's going to spread. And when it does, even then it's short-lived, Even a viral post that you get a massive reach, it's forgotten about, unless you repurpose it. And I know that's something that we chatted about in our previous Facebook Live, is actually going back and having a look at those posts that have really done well and actually sharing them again and trying to get some traction from them again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing about Pinterest as well. So it's mainly what you'll be doing is creating content off Pinterest. So this can be mainly, is what I teach, is in the form of a blog. So you start blogging on your website regularly, maybe something like once a week, and then you're creating individual pins for each of those blog posts. And maybe you're creating, kind of 4 to 5 different design variations for that one blog post as well. So you're getting it out there even more.
So you'll have 4 posts, 4 pins on one blog.
Yeah. So different design variations. So you pull out the different images, you put a different image in. Maybe you'd play around with the headline as well of that, just mix it up a little bit and see what really is resonating with people, just to give you a better chance of, getting it out there a bit more and seeing, what headlines are really working well and getting those people to click on your pins. That's what it's all about, really. We want to get people, we want to create these eye-catching pins so that people feel compelled to click on them and then click on our website. So we need to make sure that they're eye-catching. They're obviously on brand as well. Obviously, so that they're linking to that blog post, so it makes sense. It's all very relevant. It's all connected. So you create these blog posts. That's your main kind of value that you're providing. And then alongside that, you can essentially create those kind of direct promotional pins where you're just sending someone to, a sales page to go and book something, go and buy something. So that's kind of the two things. They work alongside each other really nicely because you're providing all of that value and making sure that you're being seen as the expert, you're building your authority, but then you're also driving people to actually buy and generate those sales for your business. So that works really, really well. But the great thing about this as well is when you're creating all of that great content for your blog, you now have lots of brilliant pieces of content that you can share to Facebook and Instagram as well. So you can just take out little snippets from that blog and then just put them in a standalone post for your Facebook channel and Instagram. So it all kind of works together quite nicely when you do it in this kind of top-down way. So you're creating core content at the top, which is on your blog, and then you're filtering that out to all of your different channels, so Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook. And it saves a ton of time really as well, but you're getting that added benefit of being really active on Pinterest at the same time and getting all the benefits over there for, driving traffic, driving leads, driving sales for your business. So I think it all works together really nicely.
Yeah, so I was actually going to ask you, how do you tie in everything? So you would never post a post about a pin, right, on Facebook and send people to the pin. You just send them directly to your website. So everything that you're putting on Pinterest is always a pin directly to your website. And that's how and then Facebook, you are obviously trying to engage and creating content. Same with Instagram. But you're never connecting you're never sharing any pins, right?
No.
Or do you?
So whenever you're creating a pin, it would look a bit weird because if you shared it on Facebook or Instagram, because they're very vertical. So they're longer than they are kind of horizontal. With Instagram, you want to be creating, kind of square images. You want to be creating almost kind of a landscape, I suppose, for Facebook. So it doesn't translate well. So what you would need to do is, make sure that you're creating those images, creating those images for the different channels. And then
you can do that in Canva, right? I mean, Canva must have a Pinterest.
So in Canva as well, you've got lots of Pinterest templates going on there. So swap out the images, swap out the the text and everything, put in your fonts, put in your logo. It just works really well that way, because you don't have to start from scratch if you're not that design savvy. Canva's great for that. But yeah, you would need to make sure that the images are definitely appropriate for the particular channel that you're using. So that's kind of the added little piece that you'd want to do, the added kind of time, I suppose, of just creating those pins. But if you have a set few templates, maybe you have around five different templates that you use, and then you can just swap out the images and the text for all of those and just share those across for all of your different blog posts and everything. That could work really well and save you a lot of time doing it that way.
All right. So let's go through that winning strategy that you were talking about. What is the plan, like from start to finish?
So obviously you need to go over there and set up a Pinterest account. That's the first thing to do. Make sure that you have a business account as well, because you will then get access to analytics for Pinterest. So quite important, because you want to see who's coming to your account and everything. I'd also recommend setting up rich pins. This is all in that checklist, by the way, that I mentioned, that they can go and grab if your members want to go and grab that. There's links in there and everything as well.
Yeah, so Carly's created a little checklist. We'll put the link to get that checklist in the comments.
Awesome. So create rich pins, because rich pins just basically create a more enriched experience for users on Pinterest. It means that you get this added benefit for you as well, because you get things like a follow tab on each of your pins, so people can follow you directly from each pin. You also get like a bold headline. It pulls metadata from your website as well. So where you're putting in things like meta descriptions on each of your individual pages and blog posts, it pulls it from that and includes all of those nice keywords as well. Generally, when we're kind of trying to rank for Google, it also works well for ranking for Pinterest. So obviously you need to include a nice profile image and a nice keyword-rich bio as well. So make sure across your profile bio, your boards, and each of your pins, you're always including those keywords. So it's always about, what kind of terms, what kind of language are your customers actually using to find you, and then including that within the content on those pins and those boards. Personal boards. So this is a big part of Pinterest. So every pin that you create needs to be homed in a particular board. So you create these different boards that are different categories, I suppose, of your business. So think about how you can split your business down and niche them and put them into categories, and then you create boards for those. So I create about kind of 5 to 10 different personal boards, and put a nice cover image on those as well. So something that's quite kind of branded, just so that you have that nice image there, because otherwise it kind of pulls parts of different pins out and it kind of looks a bit of a mess. So it's nice to have those cover images on each of those boards. Then it's a case of filling these up with lots of relevant pins. So think about, again, those blog posts and those different kind of products that you can include on there. And also you're going to be pinning other people's pins as well. So this is quite an important part of this. One important part is to have an actual Our Top Articles board. So you'd have a board that is specifically where all of your blog articles would go. They'd all sit there. These tend to do quite well, actually, these boards, and they tend to get lots of reshares and repins, because people just, they like consuming content like that. They like that value, and they are searching for advice and knowledge on Pinterest as well. So these tend to get quite a lot of clicks and quite a lot of shares and things. What else is there? So group boards is a good one, is a good strategy to adopt as well. So where you're becoming a collaborator of different group boards. So this just means that you can actually pin to other people's boards and get in front of a much wider audience, and they can see your pins. And you can get on a group board and there's thousands and thousands of followers on there, and you have direct access to them then, which you may not have access to if you just have your own profile. You're pinning to your own personal boards, and you've only got 100 followers or something. Go on.
Sorry to interrupt you. How do you get on a group board? Do you have to ask permission, or do you just okay?
Yeah, so you'd find a group board. You can go somewhere like pingroupie.com is a great place to find group boards. So if you just go there, you type into the search bar, whatever it is that you're searching for, maybe dog health or something like that. Then a list of group boards would come up. You then click on the group board. If you then click on to I think the profile images, it comes up with who the group board owner is. And then you just have to message them and say, I'd love to be a collaborator of your group board. And just put your kind of profile there as well so they can learn a bit more about you. Say what kind of pins you post. And then just say, yeah, I'd love to collaborate on your group board. And hopefully, fingers crossed, some people just ignore you. It's just a fact, and it's just something you have to go through. Other people would be like, yeah, that's cool. I'm happy to invite you, which is great, obviously. And then you just start building this up over time. So when I first started doing this, I was spending just about kind of half an hour a week just to go into and to kind of copy and paste slightly, personalize each one, copy and paste a message to all of these group board owners, and just build up that kind of library of group boards, because then you can start scheduling automatically to these group boards. And that's another big part of this as well, is using Tailwind. So I don't know if you've heard of Tailwind before. It's a scheduling.
No.
Yeah, it's a
Is it like a Hootsuite or for Pinterest?
Is specifically for Pinterest and Instagram as well, but I don't use it for that, because the Pinterest side is just the most awesome side of it. I don't think it's as good for Pinterest. For Instagram, there are other platforms that are great for that. But yeah, it's a whole scheduling app. It has lots of different features on there as well, like smart loops, so you can loop them out again and again. So it's more automatic, so you don't have to. You can put them onto different kind of cycles. So you could have maybe cycles for winter posts that come around winter time, and they just kind of go out for the next 4 months or something. You could have an evergreen cycle where they just go out all year round. There's a whole kind of Tailwind communities on there as well, which is essentially like another group board, but it's on Tailwind itself. And people are very active in there. So you can share your own pins. You can reshare from those communities as well. And people tend to reshare a lot from there as well. But yeah, it just allows you to set it up. So when I first started using Tailwind, I was posting about 50, I was scheduling about 50 pins a day, and really easily. And it meant that I was just going in about 2 hours a month to do that. And it was super, super easy. So Tailwind is kind of like my secret weapon, to be honest, in all of this, because it just saves you a ton of time.
When you say it reposts them again, it's not obviously like Facebook and Instagram where it comes up in a feed. It's like there. So how does that actually work? Because once it's there, right? Does it just bring it to the top, or so when you say you reschedule, you reloop them, how does that actually work?
So if you're a member of lots of different group boards and your own personal boards, so you would reloop them to those different group boards that you've selected again and again. So yeah, it would come to the top of the feed of that group board, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah.
But even then, it's like anyone can find that again and again anyway, because of how Pinterest works and people just typing in search and then it popping up. So it's kind of covering two bases there, where you're covering search, but also covering people finding you in group boards as well, just by doing that.
So one of the things you mentioned earlier, and it was actually a question I wanted to ask you, is, you said it's really important to post other people's pins, to pin other people's pins. So like in my mind, I see this as sort of this search area for your own stuff. why would you be wanting to post other people's things? So like, are you going to be posting other people's blogs and other people's courses or things around your topic? So you just become sort of a library for that specific topic. Do you not then dilute out, the potential for you to be able to gain clients or people to buy your courses or ebooks?
Yeah, so I wouldn't recommend repinning other people's kind of from direct competitors. So if they have a course that's similar to yours, don't do that. Just do on the blog post side of things, just posting out, repinning other people's blog posts essentially. So you're adding more value in there, you're providing more value to your audience, but you're also kind of building relationships with those other people, so they're more likely to repin your pins. So it's more about creating that kind of two-way relationship and getting people, because they see every time that you've repinned a pin of theirs. So they start to notice you, you get on their radar, and they feel more comfortable repinning yours, which means that you can then
that is a bit social media like, right? Because there you are engaging and connecting and building relationships with other people that you could benefit from one another.
But it's not in a kind of personal, human
chatty way.
Yeah, it's more just kind of like, oh, this person, it's more like behind the scenes, because nobody really talks to each other. It just kind of happens.
Okay.
You start being seen, and then people feel more comfortable pinning your pins, repinning your pins. So you just kind of create this unspoken network, I suppose. It's quite funny. But there's lots of people out there that just love what I'm pinning. Never spoken to them before in my life. It's something that they just do, every single week. They'll just repin my fresh pins. But it's a good thing to do, because it's going to help you reach a much wider audience. Good question.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with regards to the strategy that you teach your membership people and business owners in the pet industry?
Yeah, I just want to, kind of make it clear again that what you want to do with Pinterest is really focus on those keywords. That is the most important thing with Pinterest, is thinking about, what kind of words that they're using, what kind of language and terms that they're using, and make sure that you include that across all of your pins, all of your boards, and your profile as well. And a great way to find keywords is if you go to the search bar of Pinterest and start typing in, whatever it is, dog, what's a good keyword?
Arthritis or whatever,
exactly. Dog arthritis. It will start finishing those sentences with more kind of keywords. And underneath it as well, there are little different kind of bubbles that include different terms that you can add on to that first keyword, which you can then include within your pin descriptions. It's also good to include hashtags as well within your pin descriptions. So if you can pick out maybe kind of 4 to 8 hashtags that you can use for each pin, that's also going to help your pins get found in search. That's also a good one.
And obviously for us, we have weeks where we are crazy busy. So, and I know with Instagram and Facebook, you have to be consistent with it. Is Pinterest one of these platforms where, like, let's say you're just having a crazy month and you just don't post for 3 weeks? Is that going to affect anything, or is it okay?
It's actually okay. So, and the thing about using Tailwind as well, you can set yourself up for, sometimes I had months in advance, scheduled with different pins, and then you can just leave it. Even if you don't, wouldn't advise this, but even if you don't have the time to post any new content on your blog to create those new pins for, you can then just have the old, those existing blogs that you've already created in the pins for them, and just recirculate those. So it is good in that respect, but I would suggest keeping up with a consistent blogging schedule alongside Pinterest, because the two just go hand in hand, really. You can't really have one without the other, because otherwise you're just going to be kind of promoting all of the time. But like any platform really, we want to be providing that value first and foremost, and that's where the blog side comes into it. Yeah.
Thanks, Carly. Well, I've learned lots about Pinterest. So, I mean, like I said, I've got an account, but I'm not really very active in there. But I tell you, when I see it often, if I'm searching for things like, especially home-related things, if you're looking for on Google, it'll come up in Pinterest, and then you click on it, and then I click on it, and I can never remember my password and my login, and it doesn't take me in. And then one day I was like, I really want to see this, and I actually activate it again. And so, yeah, that's really cool. So if you're actually searching in Google, it comes up. But for me, it seems like something that's less involved than the other social media platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you have your whole kind of scheduling system and your processes going, you can save so much time compared to other social media platforms. And if you already have, maybe you're already blogging, that's most of the hard part there done for you. Then it's just a case of creating those pins and putting them up, and then learning how things like Tailwind works, so that you can schedule these things out in advance. And then, yeah, like you said, you don't have to actually comment on other people's posts. You don't have to interact with people. It's just you put it out there, and then people just click on your pins. So it's quite a hands-off platform, really.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, like I said earlier, with looking at it as top down, so that core content, and then just pushing it out to those different platforms. I know it's like, it's another platform to get my head around, but as soon as you do initially push past that and get your head around it, then the benefits just outweigh that little time that you spent at the beginning. Sort it all out. So
I think one of the struggles is for vet rehab is maintaining that blog. I don't practice now, but in the days when I did, 90% of your time is sitting in a consult room. Then you have 10% to manage staff, phone back clients, do extra notes. So there's really very little time to be able to do things like writing blogs. And I know that's a struggle for them. And I think that the people the vet rehabbers that are creating online courses and ebooks, they maybe have downscaled their consulting a little bit and invested a little bit more time into that blogging. What about, if you don't have that much time, then like you suggested, is that, if you're not creating the blogs, you can use other people's blogs, but then still also use the promotional pins to direct to your ebooks and things like that. So if you're not regularly blogging, maybe you're only blogging once a month, find somebody else who is and use their content as pins to get people in. And then people will look through all the other pins, and then they might see a promotional thing and think, hey, I want to look at that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just about being active as well, and just getting that, activity going on your Pinterest account. But if you can only do once a month a blog, that's okay. It's not ideal, but it's okay. It's giving you something to put out there. And obviously, like we said, it's going to stay up there as well. It's not going to disappear. That content isn't going to disappear in 3 to 6 hours. Like people that are typing in the search engine for that kind of content, it's still going to be found in that search engine. So if you can only do 1 month, once a month, that's absolutely fine. It's a good start. And then see if you could kind of add to that a little bit more. Maybe, if you, find time, something gets freed up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And it gets easier as well the more you do it. I think when you first start blogging, it takes you hours and hours of sitting in front of a screen, and you just don't know what to write about or how to structure it or anything like that. But the more you do it, the more you kind of get into flow, and it becomes quicker and quicker. And then obviously you've got other people who can do it for you as well.
Yeah.
If you wanted to outsource that part of it, be something to look into.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of people that write blogs. I mean, because also, they don't all have to be sort of from the academic side. You could get somebody to write about ways to prevent your dog slipping on floors, and then they could write the gist of it, and then you could edit it out. You could add in where you want to, and little things maybe that they don't know, so they can write the framework.
Yeah, that's a good point. You just send like a little list of bullet points to them to go and then flesh out the blog post. Just free up a lot of time for you, but still making sure that you're kind of being active on that blog and on Pinterest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Carly, thanks so much for your time. It's been really great. So for those of you that are interested, Carly does like challenges. Some of you might have already done the Pinterest challenge. I think she advertised it a few months ago, but in June, right? Carly, you doing your next one?
Don't hold me to that date because I haven't set it sure yet, but it's going to be sometime around June. Yeah. Okay. I will announce it closer to the time. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you,
Carly. Thanks so much. Bye everyone. If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time I load a new podcast. And please, if you get a moment, head over to Stitcher or iTunes and leave me a review. It's a really lonely job being a podcaster, and so the only time I get to hear from you or know that you're out there is when I get a review. And know that I read every single one of your reviews. So to those of you that have left reviews, I want to say a very, very big thank you. Every time we get a review, it really helps to get the veterinary rehabilitation podcast out there to all the vet rehabbers all over the world. All right, vet rehabbers, so if you are looking for more continuing education in the field of veterinary rehabilitation, head over to onlinepethouth.com. Go be awesome, guys.